But a few months ago, I approached both of them, Eve and Maren both, and I said, how would you like, as interns, doing a program about the Culver Hotel? And they just went berserk. They said, oh, we'd love it. There was so much enthusiasm, everything like that. I mean, talk about making you feel young. Anyway, they both accepted, and after lots of hard work and mountains of research that they came up with, every time I'd come in and meet with them, there'd be another pile of stuff I'd go through. And I think they really did a great job getting this program together, and we're all very proud of them. So without any more bloviation from me, I'd like to bring up Eve Mott and let her do her thing.
Hi, thank you. So as Dennis said, I worked on this with Maren Brown, but unfortunately she caught a bug a few days ago and wasn't able to be here tonight. But she's really sad that she's missing this. We've been talking a lot, and yeah, she really put a lot of work into this, and we're both really excited for this, so thank you. And so our story starts with the long and magical path up to the yellow brick road to the Culver Hotel, and it starts in downtown Milford, Nebraska. It was here that Harry Hazel Culver was born on January 22nd, 1880. He was the middle of 5 children and was raised on the family farm. Harry's impressive work ethic and ambition for adventure dates back to a young age as he traversed hundreds of miles across the country on his old bicycle. Quite a feat on the old model bikes. At age 18, Harry enlisted in the Army and served during the Spanish-American War, reaching the rank of sergeant. In 1904, Harry made his way to the Philippines, where he worked as a custom agent for the Manila Times. It was in Manila that he married Eunice Richardson of Lincoln, Nebraska. The marriage, unfortunately, didn't last long, and Harry moved alone to Southern California, where he went to work for Isaac Newton Van Nuys. It's a familiar name. It was here that Harry honed his skills for the California real estate market, and Culver turned down a management job with Van Nuys after deciding to start his own independent ventures, including the creation of a new city. Quite an ambitious project. In 1916, Harry married actress Lillian Roberts, and they had one child, Patricia. Harry began this new venture under the Harry H. Culver Company. Harry was also an avid aviator and would take his plane out with his business associates. They would fly all around, and they would choose the location for his next buildings from the aerial view. Culver chose to locate his city halfway between Abbot Kinney's Venice and downtown LA so that all roads would literally lead to Culver City. And in the early days, you could actually see the Culver Hotel from both points, LA and Venice, which is crazy. In the early years, Culver did much to attract attention to his new town. He offered free lunches, pageant contests, and marathon races to build publicity and a community. His marketing talents were almost as skillful as his real estate acumen. Culver wanted to take advantage of the prosperous filmmaking industry, so after seeing Thomas Ince shooting a movie on the La Bayona Creek, he convinced him to move his Inceville studio location from Topanga Canyon to Culver City. Ince built Triangle Studios, which was to become MGM, and in 1919, Ince built the Culver Studios. This initiated the legacy of major movie studios in Culver City and gave birth to the now ubiquitous slogan, "The Heart of Screenland." Harry did not stop simply with the movie industries, and he embarked on yet another feat when he planned to open what we now know as the Culver Hotel. While Harry's name adorns the side of the Culver Hotel, it has undergone a succession of owners since its inception. Before the hotel even existed, the plot of land was home to our City Hall and the Maralta Movie Theater. The theater was owned and operated by Pearl Merrill and Laura Peralta. The location was soon acquired by Harry, and construction for the foundation was laid in 1923. Merrill and Peralta opened the new Maralta Theater in 1927 on Culver Boulevard. While there are many different accounts of the hotel's ownership, we have used our best judgment and use of researches to most accurately depict the hotel's rich history. We strongly believe that Charlie Chaplin was a silent partner of Harry Culver and had invested in the construction and opening of the hotel. We've scoured many articles that either mention Chaplin as an owner or a partner, and although he isn't listed on any of the ownership deeds, we strongly believe he was involved with the plans for the hotel. Chaplin, it is written, later sold his interest and shares of the hotel to Harry. Things were looking up for the new venture when, unfortunately, as a result of the Great Depression, Harry ended up losing everything in 1933. He was pushed into bankruptcy and lost the hotel. So after the Depression, W.H. Comstock acquired the hotel, and it was passed to Helen and Isidore Silver in 1943. They didn't own the hotel for long, as it was bought by John Wayne and his partner Beau Ruse in 1945. Wayne is one of the most notable owners of the hotel, yet the legend of how he acquired it is contested. So some people say that he won it for Charlie Chaplin in a poker game for $1. Some people say that it was Red Skelton in the poker game, and some people say Skelton owned the hotel outright. But neither Chaplin or Skelton are ever listed on any ownership deed, only John Wayne is. A point of interest is that Beau Ruse was business manager for both Wayne and Skelton. And according to Ruse, Skelton even tried to buy the hotel once, but his offer was rejected. In the end, we have reason to believe that Wayne obtained the hotel in a less complicated manner and just bought it. The hotel did soon become a money pit, and the two partners were losing money quicker than they could make it. Things were falling apart. The late Sid Cronenthal tells us the story behind the offer made to the city by John Wayne and the results of that offer.
Duke called one afternoon. Crony, he says, how would you like to own a hotel? Well, he didn't, of course, mean me. He knew I worked for the city, wanted to know whether the city... And I knew exactly what he was talking about because I knew he, Beau Ruse, and Red Skelton had some sort of a consortium in owning that hotel. I said to him, well, I'll have to discuss it with the city council. And he says, we have to know as soon as possible. So I went to the city administrator at the time. He talked to a couple of councilmen, and he said, that's a white elephant. What are we going to do with it? He says, the darn thing should be torn down, and no, just say no thank you.
So thankfully, the hotel was not torn down, and Wayne eventually donated it to the YMCA in 1967. At some point after that, the hotel was purchased by the Weingart Foundation, although we haven't been able to place an exact date. 20 years later, in 1987, it was acquired by Lou Catlett, who saved it from the wrecking ball. He invested a lot of time and money into repairing the decay and squalor it had suffered from its previous owners and tenants. Catlett renovated the hotel, changing it from having 150 rooms with a single bathroom at the end of each hall to 46 rooms with suites and private bathrooms. He is also responsible for installing the coveted air conditioning system throughout the hotel. Catlett retained ownership of the Culver Hotel for nearly 10 years, and it flourished. In 1997, the hotel was purchased by Wei Hugh and his son Jing. The Hugh family ran the hotel with partner Eddie Hurrah. They established the notorious buffet that some of you have tried. I have been told it was not the best. But thankfully, in 2006, the hotel was rescued by the Malik family, who continued its restoration, even surpassing its former glory. The Maliks have owned the hotel since and have continued to renovate it and improve it for the enjoyment of guests and residents. As impressive as the hotel's succession of ownership is, its rich history is even more fascinating. So now we're going to examine each owner of the hotel and what took place during their tenure. So the Harry Culver Company laid the foundation for the hotel in December of 1923. The hotel was initially named the Hunt Hotel after the hotel's manager, Mr. Hunt. The Renaissance Revival building was designed by Curlett and Beelman, who were also the architects of the MGM Irving Thalberg building, and construction was handled by the Winter Construction Company. The plans for the hotel included 150 rooms with bathrooms at the end of the hall, as we mentioned earlier. And the first two floors were office spaces, which were occupied by the Harry Culver Company, with Harry's own office on the mezzanine level. The hotel was on floors 3 through 6 and was run by Mr. Hunt and his manager, J.B. Miller. The grand opening took place on September 24th, 1924, with a mere 8,000 guests to celebrate its inception. While the hotel is only 6 stories tall, newspapers around announced it as a skyscraper, as it could be seen from LA and Venice on a clear day. One article stated that the name was changed from the Hunt Hotel to the Culver City Hotel on opening day to honor Harry Culver, but we couldn't find anything more in print about when the name changed and what happened to Mr. Hunt and J.B. Miller. The Culver City sign from the old City Hall was placed on the roof for all to see, and this might have something to do with the name change. Many early films were shot at or near the Culver Hotel, including Laurel and Hardy films and many others. We have some clips. Here we have a photo from Leave 'Em Laughing, which was filmed in 1928. Also in 1928, under Harry's ownership, the first wave of little people arrived to stay at the hotel. 40 midgets, a term that was used at the time, arrived for the filming of the movie Mysterious Island. Note here in these photos, the hotel is still called Hotel Hunt, and it hasn't been changed to the Culver Hotel yet. The film was made by MGM and starred Lionel Barrymore. There were lots of little people running around in Martian-looking costumes. While 40 may sound like a lot of little people, many more would arrive in 1938. In 1938, MGM hired Leo Singer to find 124 or more little people to work in the film The Wizard of Oz. Singer had great success, and soon a special bus left New York City on November 5th, 1938, bound for Culver City with loads of publicity and fanfare and a lot of little people. They arrived in Los Angeles 6 days later at the Culver Hotel. The rest of the little people traveled by train from all over the country to Culver City. They did travel inside the train. It must have been a crazy trip. This group was to become known as the Munchkins for the town people they portray in the film. Throughout the Munchkins' stay at the hotel from November 10th, 1938 until December 30th, 1938, a total of 7 weeks, many rumors arose. The first one we will examine is the legendary tunnel. I'm sure many of us at some point have believed in a secret tunnel that connected the Culver Hotel to the MGM studios that the Munchkins would use to get to work. The cost of building a said tunnel would have been astronomical even in those days and would have served little purpose. Stephen Cox, author of the Munchkins Remember, also dispels this rumor in his books. Additionally, we have photos from Stephen's book that show all of the Munchkins walking to the studio, escorted by police, above ground. Milena Aluni, the hotel manager, did explain to us that there was some sort of a tunnel from the basement of the hotel, but that it was covered in 1978, according to the Culver City Fire Department, so we have no way of verifying this or knowing where it went. The only known tunnel that exists anywhere near the Culver Hotel was the pedestrian walking tunnel under Washington Boulevard. Some of you may have used this back in the day to cross the busy boulevard, but with the advent of modern streetlights and the diversion of Washington Boulevard around the hotel to create the plaza, this tunnel was no longer needed and filled in. The second rumor we would like to dispel is that the idea that the Munchkins were a rowdy group of partiers that wreaked havoc, as portrayed in the film Under the Rainbow by Chevy Chase. They filmed the exterior of the hotel and then built all the interiors at the studio so that they could create the mayhem that they needed for the script. Lots of fun, but not true. One source of this story is a 1967 Judy Garland interview on the Jack Parr Show, which we can take a look at now.
Well, what about the Munchkins?
Yeah, how about that? What?
The
Munchkins.
Munchkins.
They
What?
don't matter.
Yeah. Well, what the Munchkins do?
Well, they were
little
very
dwarfs.
tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were they little kids or were they,
They
little
were
men?
drunks.
They were little drunks.
They were.
What they? What they? You got me stuttering. What did they do? What did they do?
What did they do?
What the dwarfs do?
Well, one of them, who was about 40, a gentleman asked me for dinner, and I couldn't say, I don't want to go out. I can't because you're midges. And I just said, no, my mother wouldn't like it. Come on, bring your mom too, you know.
How big was he?
About 2 inches high.
What could you do with it?
I don't know.
What could he do? I mean.
Oh, I don't know. They evidently did a lot because
There was a lot of them.
oh, hundreds of thousands, and they put them all in one hotel room, not one room, one hotel in Culver City,
Yeah.
and they got smashed every night, and they'd pick them up in butterfly nets.
So sometimes things are said in interviews to make them more interesting, but are not always rooted in fact. In reality, many of the Munchkins said that with the 15-hour days they worked 6 days a week, there was little time for partying. In fact, they didn't have much of a budget for partying either, as Toto the dog received a bigger paycheck than they did. There was a consensus from the surviving Munchkins that the only troublemakers and drinkers were two individuals named Mike and Ike. Leo Singer, the leader of the Munchkins and the studio, dealt with this problem. Also, an individual named Kelly was sent home after threatening his wife with bodily harm, who's also a Munchkin working on the film. The third rumor is the egregious idea that the Munchkins slept 3 to a bed. This is only backed up by an interview given by Jerry Marin, the Lollipop Kid, and an offhand comment and often repeated. We find no other evidence that supports this and don't believe that the Screen Actors Guild and Central Casting at the time would have allowed this to happen. 3 to a room, maybe, but definitely not 3 to a bed. Dennis Parrish, who was on the board of directors for the Billy Barty Little People Foundation for years, spoke with many little people, including Jerry Marin and his wife, Elizabeth, and he never heard this story. Funny tale and great publicity, but probably not true. One of the fun stories floating around was the first morning they were in the hotel, a loud marching band woke them up, and they thought it was to welcome them to the Culver City. When they looked out the window, they discovered it was the Culver City Armistice Day parade. What a disappointment. One of the things that really did happen at the hotel during their stay was the night that Elsie Schultz, a 40-year-old Munchkin, was hit by a car as she crossed Washington Boulevard. She suffered a fractured leg, putting her in the local hospital for the rest of the film, which was very sad. We thought that it was important to give the Munchkins their due respect and restore their tarnished reputation by looking at each of these rumors very carefully. Now that we've most likely disappointed a lot of you, we would like to reassure you that the Munchkins weren't the only residents of the hotel who caught our eye. The 3 major studios drew a lot of stars to the hotel, including Clark Gable, Joan Crawford, Greta Garbo, Red Skelton, and finally Buster Keaton. Just as these stars came when Culver did, they also left along with him. While we tend to regard Harry Culver as a legend and a prudent businessman, he was not immune to the suffering of the Great Depression. When Culver lost the hotel in 1933, many producers and actors sought entertainment in other areas like Beverly Hills and Santa Monica. The next in line of notable owners of the hotel were John Wayne and his business manager, Beau Ruse. When Wayne and Ruse were first perusing their new purchase, they realized that the measurements of the blueprint and the measurements of the actual rooms didn't match up. So they knocked down a wall and they found a 5 by 40 foot long room with 40 to 50 telephone lines, which would have been ideal for an extensive bookmaking operation. Who knows? The hotel did enjoy a brief renaissance during their ownership with renovated rooms and new business suites on the first floors. Red Skelton was in fact a tenant of one of these suites while working at MGM, and we have lots of fan mail sent to him at the hotel here on display. This is possibly the origin of his rumored ownership, along with the fact that he was also managed by Beau Ruse. Another well-known guy, namely Dwight Eisenhower, held his presidential campaign office in the hotel in 1952. It's written that Ike and Richard Nixon were seen around the hotel during the campaign, and we would have loved to have been a fly on the wall during those office lunches. Unfortunately, Wayne and Ruse discovered that owning a hotel was not as profitable of a venture as they had anticipated. Wayne's agent, Don LaCava, recalls that boilers were bursting and pipes had to be replaced. They simply couldn't keep up. The strain on their assets caused the duo to donate the hotel to the YMCA after the city of Culver City turned them down, as Sid Cronenthal mentioned. During the 50s and the 60s, the hotel was on a downward spiral. It was used as tenement boarding housing and rented rooms by the day. The condition of the hotel deteriorated significantly from its glory days. This downward spiral continued when, in 1972, a fire ravaged the hotel, forcing 80 occupants to evacuate. Thankfully, they were able to save the hotel and prevent any major damage, but in the images, you can tell that the fire reached Harry Culver's office on the mezzanine level, which we can tell by the wood paneling on the side and the detailing on the ceiling. Lots of things went on at the hotel during the next few years, but I'm too young to have that conversation. Things took a good turn when Lou Catlett, a well-known figure around town, purchased the hotel in 1987 and began a series of renovations. Catlett was a developer, philanthropist, and former national defense official, as well as a friend of Pat Culver. He would have Pat Culver drop by the hotel to see the new interior renovations, as well as a few on the exterior of the hotel. He hoped to spruce the hotel up and return it to its former glory. There was a wrench thrown in Catlett's plans when the Northridge earthquake hit in 1994. Thankfully, there was no damage to the infrastructure of the hotel, but he chose to prevent any further damages by spending around $500,000 on earthquake-proofing the building. In 1997, Catlett, in a stroke of genius, petitioned to have the hotel added to the National Register of Historic Places. This was really important and really smart because it means that the hotel can never be torn down again. That was the same year that the Hugh family acquired the hotel. They did their best to bring it to the next level, including monopolizing on Duke's Hideaway and other stories of lore. In October of 1997, the Hugh family hosted a reunion for 6 of the 14 surviving Munchkins pictured, who came to the Culver Hotel where it all began. Now we come to the hotel as it is today. Owned by Maya Malik and assisted by Milena Aluni, Director of Events. The hotel has sprung to life since the ownership change, and many additional movies have been shot here. Maya's attention to detail and love for all is visible by guests and employees. She even adorns the break rooms with chandeliers. On any given day, a visitor of the hotel will be welcomed by the lively Culver steps, nightly entertainment, delicious meals, and silent movies projected on the walls. Recently, we were fortunate enough to be given a tour of the hotel by Milena, where she discussed stories like the ghost of Harry Culver at the hotel, which we'll be able to take a look at right now.
A lot of the renovation to make it to what it is to be a 5-star hotel. Before it was renovated, it was taken care of. There was a Asian company who bought the building at one point, and they made a restaurant here, and they had a restaurant on this side, like a buffet, and then they did their best to upgrade the hotel, but not what it is today. I mean, today it's a magical place again.
All the rooms also are different in terms of colors and furniture, obviously the layout because of the shape of the hotel. And instead, I don't know if you can see, but there's a beautiful wallpaper in the back. So it really it still pays justice. We have 2 suites in the hotel. Only these are the grand suites. One is on the 3rd floor, and this one is on the 6th floor. The layout is absolutely the same, just the colors that are different from. And we have, if you want to check out the bathroom, that's our the master bath, and then there's another bathroom here with a walk-in shower. And this was the living room when Maya bought the building. Everything is new except the armoire. The armoire were some of the pieces, as well as like this, some of the pieces that were left behind that we kept from the previous owner. All the molding are completely changed, everything. The bathroom are completely, there was this one of those nasty, like, jacuzzi, So, yes. And this is also a room that is this is the only option for a connecting room in the building, which is the room next door, which is another king size, so this can become a 2-bedroom suite with 3 bathrooms.
Oh, wow.
While the hotel never closed down throughout the renovation, she constantly upgrades everything. So it feels like we're never out of renovation, even if it's not major renovation, noise or anything, but she constantly walks the room, she constantly changes things. That headboard and been changed like I don't know many times. But obviously the hotel back in when it was built didn't have rooms like this. There were actually 144 rooms, something like that, because we have 144 windows. That I know because we had to replace them all. So imagine this room was not like this. There were actually probably 4 rooms in this. There were no bathrooms, right? And the bathrooms were at the end of the hallway. Yeah.
How many rooms are there?
46.
Oh, okay.
There's basically, there should be 48, but because of the 2 suites, there are actually 2 the size of 2 rooms together. So the 3rd and 4th and 6th floor has a suite, so we have 11 rooms on this floor. But the 4th floor and the 5th floor have 12 rooms. And pretty much the layout again is the same. One of my favorite rooms is room 67. Because it's right at the tip of the hotel, and you have windows on all 3 walls, and you're literally sitting on the bed, and you can watch, like you can see even the ocean. All again, the furniture, the color palette, the paper, the wallpaper in all rooms are different. There's not really one room that is the same to the other.
Oh, and there's Harry Culver. Oh, wow.
Oh yes, we try. He's everywhere. He's everywhere. His presence is here. He's here. Many people have actually felt him, saw him, drew a picture of him, and so we honor him throughout the hotel for sure. And this is one of the rooms that have the largest bathrooms. Maya loves chandeliers, and so they're everywhere, including our break room. Including our break room.
That's so cute.
At 7 o'clock every night, all the doors shut for security because the entrance of the hotel, we have so many point of access to the building that in the past, I mean, we just put this on maybe like right a year before the pandemic.
My favorite floor. I love this.
So this is one of the latest.
So is this is the art gallery?
Yes, we are on the 2nd floor.
So was this one also originally offices? Or-
Yes.
Okay.
When I acquired the building, this was all offices. And it didn't look like this at all. Actually, everything here has been all custom made. The family has a carpenter that has been working for them for the last 30 years. And I will show throughout the hotel every single thing that he actually made. So all these doors, beautiful. I can't even do this with TV on the other side. But they're all open into each other and they become a big, huge event space for the 2nd floor.
We have a memorial in this room. We got lots of stuff.
The windows and the natural lighting and fresh air helps
The
a
room
lot.
speaks for itself. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Again, all of these doors are all custom made. This is the original ceiling.
Yeah.
These are all custom made doors, even just the molding. And that was the idea of one of the workers, to make it like that design.
It's like pillars. Yeah, so beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh, yes, and Lillian, which is also the we named our restaurant after his wife.
Oh.
And we use this room a lot for private meetings. We had Sony using this room this morning, yesterday morning, Apple, as well as like lots of baby shower, bridal showers, and so forth. So you've also had a private, I mean, I guess, I don't know why you built it, but we use this, it's a back of a house. So normally this is not open to the public, so we will never have guests going through here, that's why it's
That
not
makes
the
sense.
best,
Yeah.
you know. And it's like a little side, how do you call it, like exit route, whatever.
Escape route.
Yes.
Yeah, in case he's being hunted by whatever.
No, I guess there were a lot of creditors knocking on his doors and he had to escape the building. This on the right goes down to the kitchen, on the left goes to the Velvet Lounge, which I'm going to show you later, and then it goes all the way down to the basement. We have a huge basement. Our laundry, our dishwasher, all our storage room, all our offices, it's insanely big, and it goes even almost under Culver Boulevard, because I remember one of the time that they were doing, the first time that they did the realignment and they were doing some of the move, I was in this liquor storeroom and there was like stuff falling on my head. I'm like, and there was a saw. Like, oh God, let me get out of here.
Whoa.
It was pretty scary.
Oh, you put in a window.
That's, she put up the, you know, the wallpaper of the tunnel just to remind. First took over the building, we didn't know what to do with the space, so we used it as storage. And then in 2009, we hosted our first prohibition ball. And the vendors, you know, all those different like sponsor for wine and liquor, they all wanted to have their own bar. So let's say Absolute Vodka, they had to have their own Absolute Vodka bar and gin or whatever. And so we had to find different locations within the property to accommodate them. And so that's why we made a makeshift of a bar. And then it's like, it works. Let's do this. Let's keep it.
Yeah.
So, we used to have a business center up here, so people will come and use the computer, print boarding pass, whatever. And he felt something, so he came over and he saw something like somebody dressed all in black, looking out of the window. He didn't think twice about it, but he went back to the computer, and then he's like, what is he doing over there? And so he was somebody that worked for Disney Animation, and he had on his iPad, he quickly just jotted what he remembers seeing, and he called downstairs, and the general manager came up. He's like, I just saw this person, it looked like this, and then we showed him a picture of Larry Culver, and he turned all white. Give him some bourbon to clear it up. The doors are original.
And the floors too, right?
The floors, no, the floors.
Oh, you guys
No.
did change them,
We
yeah.
did change the floor.
The marble.
No.
But the subway tiles and the doors of the stalls are original. These are like 9 different types of wallpaper.
Oh, this
She
isn't
put
a
them all
frame?
together. Huh?
I just assumed it was
No,
a fridge.
no, they're all different type. They're all, if you feel them, they're all
Yeah.
different. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh, yeah.
And this wallpaper is in many photos, especially nowadays around like. There's staircase now that go downstairs to the crystal dining room. Those stairs didn't exist. So when Maya acquired the building, we wanted to do something with this space. We couldn't because it had a maximum occupancy of 8 people. Because there was no egress fire exit. So that's one of the first things that we did when we took over the building, was to build we lost some of the square footage, but then now we can have up to 61 people. Here, I told you she loves chandeliers. So she wanted to put 16 of them. I said, no, 9 is enough. There was no door here. So we made that door. The only way to go around the lobby was through those doors. So, you know the stairs, and I said, don't go around the stairs. Come here. And then you go around the kitchen and they go down to the basement.
It is small.
But it's a very, very small kitchen. And so the opening was here, but we made the other opening to go to the lobby.
Where did those stairs go?
They go up to the Velvet Lounge. Those were one of the first infrastructure remodel that we did inside the building, was to put the stairs to connect the two spaces, so the Velvet Lounge could have a second fire exit and increase the capacity of the stage. I did a couple film shoots with because we were closed. So like, you know, like, oh, some nightmare stories. But when I had to go and open some of the rooms to like show them, we realized that we had forgotten to close some of the rooms, the windows. So there were like nice pigeons everywhere. So I was like, okay, winter cleaning everywhere. July 2022, Proper came in. Proper, you know, it's a brand. It's a chain of hotels. It's a management company that took over the management of the hotel. But Maya is still the owner, and she's very much involved on anything and everything. Whatever she wants to do, she can. So, you will not believe how many of this picture frame will lose. How many people steal them. And literally, this is a frame from Ross and a picture taken down from Google, okay? But they steal this, that, and the red sequence pillow that we have in the staircase. People love those faucets and go, they can steal those. Here, there's a picture. This is the side.
How much emphasis did you place on looking into the history of the hotel for the renovation?
Well, definitely that was one of the most important factor for Maya to keep the integrity of the building, bring in the technology and the new style and design, but still keeping the same feel of the 1920s and 30s for sure.
Yeah. Culver City is changing a lot, like with all the, you know, like new tech companies coming in.
Yeah.
Have you guys like considered that and like the renovations and changes to the hotel?
It's not very easy to even like have microphones in this room. I mean, you have concrete walls. I remember when in the vault, I should have pointed out, but when it converted into a bar and we wanted to put a dishwasher, we had to put a drain. This building shook the entire time that they were cutting onto that. So there's different things that we would love to do, but it's kind of difficult for us in terms of, for example, AV. In the event spaces, we have those columns that makes it very difficult for us to be able to offer a large, kind of like presentations and different things to a large audience. And I even had people say, "Can you shave off that column?" I'm like, no, because the building will fall down. Yes, all the different tech company that came into Culver City, after said and done, they come here to relax. They come here because of the location. As long as you give them great service and a wonderful, clean environment, I don't think that they're expecting that much technology in the rooms. You know what I mean?
I just have one question. So you mentioned over COVID, there were some film shootings. Do you guys still have those like films coming in or like movies being made?
For many, many years, I don't know if you remember when there was a big, huge parking lot instead of the redevelopment. That was golden for us. The city would allow us to rent it. And basically that's where all the trucks and the craft services and everything was parked, so it made it very easy. So we used to do a lot of filming. Commercial, TV show, feature films, I mean, we did them all. I just actually counted them the other day. We had 58 film shoots. Then obviously everything changed with the redevelopment. I mean, we love it. It added so much to Culver City, but for us it was like, because now parking is a little bit of an issue. There's not really that much parking here for those trucks. So not a song, like a video, like a music video. Music video, sorry, I couldn't think of it. That was a nightmare. Have you ever listened to the same song playing for 12 hours? Every I couldn't take it anymore. So when you're gonna home? Yeah, that was one of the things that we did during the. They did over here an episode where this room was completely converted into a ship, like a cruise ship with a Hawaiian theme. It was odd. Yeah, it was very, very odd. We had a commercial, a Verizon commercial, that the guy was flying through the lobby, so it was very, very interesting, yeah.
Yeah, because I know Culver City in general is a pretty like popular film spot. We'll just be watching a movie at home and my dad's like, oh, like
I know.
that's the school or whatever.
So talking about films, we project silent movies on this wall every night. So one of them is definitely Laurel and Hardy and Charlie Chaplin. They're always playing on the wall. And I remember one night I was standing at the host stand, and I'm like, oh, this movie. I remember watching it when I was a little girl, and I used to love Laurel and Hardy. And then next thing I was like, that's the hotel. That's the Culver Hotel. I can't believe that I was watching the Culver Hotel in my hometown in Italy growing up. So I got teary eyes. I felt very connected.
Very serendipitous.
So,
Wait, so you play movies every night? Like,
the family used to own this hotel in Westwood called the Century Wilshire Hotel, which was the oldest building on the Wilshire corridor. And so when they sold it, they had to reinvest the proceeds of the sale. And so they started looking around town. We were in downtown a lot, at the Mayfair. She just loved historic building. It was more of like the timeless feeling of this building. The history was important, but she loved the bones, she loved the look, she had a vision in her head, and that's why she persisted and persisted. She insisted, and finally, I think she ate the bill like about maybe 2 to 3 years before, and then the letter of intent was signed in July, the end of July 2006, and they closed escrow on Thanksgiving Day 2006.
thank you so much.
Let me know if you need anything else.
So our attempt was to give you an accurate history of the hotel from 1924 until today, and we've tried to hit all the major points of interest along the way. So we hope you've enjoyed the program as much as we have presenting it. Thank you.